He's on fire now. Come on, mates.
I'm just going to invite Mark Visser on stage.
Thanks for having me, mate.
Are you serious?
Kind of.
That is incredible. Mark was just saying backstage, yeah, far out. That just reminded me of how freaking scary that was. So tell us a little bit about what we just saw.
You just saw the trailer of a project that we've been working on for some time now, and it's called Operation Deep Blue. And the theory was that there are bigger waves out there than what we see at our normal coastlines or predominant big wave spots. And this whole mission was to prove that theory and to see if they really do exist.
Okay. So we're talking about space here today. How can you relate your experience with space?
It's an interesting question, but I think when we first started this project, we had no idea how in-depth it really was. I literally just thought that there would be a couple of spots that, you know, large waves would pass by that we could track and locate. And it's definitely not that easy. We had to work with scientists and people that gave us access to over 25 years of space data to locate these spots. And what we were looking for was a pattern of significant wave heights. And the height we're after was about 30 metres, so that's 100 foot. And I asked the guys, I said, if you can find a pattern where there's a 100-foot wave has occurred more than once, that's what I'm after, because I knew that every now and again there would be a rogue wave, but if it happened more than once, there would have to be some kind of underwater structure that would prove that to be, you know, a real place or a real wave. After they researched and found some answers for me, I had about 12 locations that indicated there could be this type of wave there, and it wasn't enough just to go off what a satellite image had said or the satellite data had said. I physically had to go out there and see with my own eyes, and a lot of these waves weren't surfable waves. In the surfing world, we called them, you know, fat burgers or something that just doesn't break top to bottom. It's not really a rideable wave, and it's not really a wave that you would actually want to go and surf. You know, some of them had rocks all through the centre, and it might have been a beautiful peeling wave, but if you took off, you would just you probably would die. And some of them didn't exist. Some of them just weren't what the data was telling us. So it was a really big learning curve, and of those spots, we were able to find about 3 that I think are actual rideable waves. But to line that up with the perfect winds, the perfect swell direction, it's a once in a year kind of event.
Pretty good answer.
Yeah.
So I want to go personal as well with this, because we get what you do. I think that is pretty clear. But to sort of get a bit of a behind-the-scenes understanding of what you go through, hitting up these questions of inner space. And what comes to mind, I guess, is this shot here of, what is going on?
That was a part where we're, obviously preparing to go out, and it was probably one of the most sort of terrifying feelings for me that I've ever had. Just before we were about to leave, I was so scared. I was so nervous about the whole experience. We'd done a lot of skydive training, and nothing can prepare you for the moment that back ramp of the plane opens, and the sound just roars, and all the air, everything that's in your little environment starts blasting out, and you just every awareness level and every little thing in your mind just is so heightened, and you're pretty much freaking out.
So has something gone wrong, and can you share on
the one of the first training drills? We knew we had to make our experience as real as possible. So we knew we had to experience exactly what it would be like landing out in the middle of nowhere. And the first drill for me was probably the absolute the worst. I think I everything that could have possibly gone wrong, I think probably did from my end. The jump master, or the load master, he's the guy that does the hand signal at the end. He said, Mark, I want you to help me push the ski out at the start. And I was like, okay, no worries. And the moment that green light flicked on, and it was the go signal, I was helping him push it out, and I slipped on the side of like a panel because I was so scared and like nervous. I must have been sweating so much that inside my little rubber shoes was really quite wet, and I slid a bit, and the plane flies on an angle to let everything slide out. And I remember feeling like I was going to get sucked out of the plane, and they said to me, the only way you guys can die is if you go straight out behind the ski, because the parachutes will open in your face and it'll kill you. So I was like, okay, make sure I don't do that. But when that happened and I felt myself slide, my heart was just pounding, and I basically had a sensory overload. And the moment I was given the signal to jump, there was a carabiner that flicked off from the jet ski once it left, and it nearly took my head off. It missed me by like a millimeter, and I was just like, whoa, like twice in a couple of seconds I felt like I'd nearly died. And they're giving me the signal, go, because every second you wait, the cargo or the jet ski is blowing further away, and it's harder to track it down in the air. So you just have to run and go. So the moment I ran out, I just looked into this deep blue space of just, it just felt like nothing, and everything that you could physically see, like normally, I couldn't see because I had such a strong sensory overload. Just basic things had all evaporated from my normal vision, and it was super intense. And I remember once I pulled my parachute, one of my risers, which is the little things that you steer with, had got locked on one side, so I was turning in a hard loop, and I was just like, I was pretty much had enough that day. And once I sort of cleared that up, the whole team was directly below me, and there was a 360-degree view of blue ocean, not another piece of land or anything in sight, and I couldn't see a thing because I had such a strong, I guess, like a semi-meltdown, really. And and the guys were directly below me, and I was looking down, and something that could have been so close to me, I couldn't see it. And I remember thinking, like, where am I? Like, where is everything? And it was such an intense moment. And
I think that ties into our next question as well, touching on this feeling of isolation. Can you touch on some of that?
Yeah, I think, the moment I got down to the ski and I looked around and I realised I was so insignificant. If you look around and imagine that the whole entire, you're in a globe, that little thing that you shake up and you see the little snowflakes fall down. I felt like I was in one of those with just pure blue all around me, and I just was like, "Whoa, I'm a tiny speck in this world." Like I just felt so insignificant, and I just remember thinking, I'm a long way from help if I ever need anything too.
Yeah, that is serious. So I think we've talked a little bit about what's gone on. What do you do with that fear?
I think you can't control the fear, but you can accept it when it's coming to you. And what I guess I mean by that is, when I felt fearful, there was nothing else I could do other than just my routine exit. And like I felt so scared that I was literally shaky in the legs and felt like I couldn't even stand on my own 2 feet, especially when all that sort of stuff was happening. But the only way I could really deal with fear was break it down into small pieces and just say, look, the next step is just to get out of the plane, have a clean exit, open that chute, and just break it down step by step. So you can't really deal with it, you've just got to go through it.
So to do this, to put yourself on the edge like this, what have you got to prepare for? What do you run through?
Training wise for us it's completely different to being a surfer as a normal surfer, which I used to do. I used to compete as a surfer, and it's a total different ball game. The group that goes, everyone has to be as switched on and knowledgeable in each area as the other person. Like everyone had to know how to not only perform CPR, but to be able to do it on a sled, which is a little rescue buoy on the back of a jet ski, and do it out in the open ocean, how to cut through someone's wetsuit and be prepared to just stab into your own mate and do what it took to help them survive. We had to know how to put each other on a drip or put morphine into someone if we had to. And that kind of really opens your mind up to, okay, we're really going to a different area here.
Yeah, this isn't surfing out the back.
Yeah.
Look, there's a few big questions I want to try and grab. The first is, why do this?
For me, that's an easy answer. It's what I want to do. I love exploring, and I love looking and trying to find what is out there. I think the ocean, the underwater ocean itself, 95% of it hasn't been discovered. When you think of that, that's a massive amount of water that people haven't even found or know anything about. So I think it would be really cool to go and discover that and see what is out there and see if these huge waves really exist. For me, it's like chasing that Loch Ness monster or whatever they call it. But I really just want to explore and see what this world has to offer.
Unreal. And that leads directly to our last question, and it's really that question that we ask at TED and TEDx is, what's your idea worth sharing? My idea worth sharing is, I think everyone should just do what they want to do. Follow your dream. It's your life. At the end of the day, I don't remember any previous lives, and this is it right now. And be everything and do everything that you want to do, because we get one shot at it. So yeah, make it happen. Wow. Thank you so much, Mark Visser. Thanks.